Welcome to the This Mum Loves Tech podcast, the go-to show for female business owners who want to simplify tech and get the support they need to grow their online businesses with confidence. I'm Nicola Walsh, your podcast host. I'm also a mum to two cheeky boys and I love tech, so you don't have to. I'm here to share actionable tips, tools and strategies that will help you streamline your business and make the tech work for you. So whether you're watching after the kids have gone to bed or listening while on the school run, let's dive into today's episode and make tech that little bit easier. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of This Mum Loves Tech. And today I am joined by Rachel Bloomfield from Your Visibility Partner. Now Rachel has done a brilliant masterclass for the ladies of the This Mum Loves Tech membership, all around confidence. So it was brilliant that I could bring Rachel onto the podcast to kind of get her to know her a little bit better and to kind of just talk a bit more about why confidence as online business owners is such an important topic to discuss. So hello Rachel, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, so before we get too much into talking about confidence and all that kind of stuff, I think it would be great to know a bit more about you and about how kind of your visibility partner came together and your business journey.
How long have you got? So I have run quite a few different businesses over the years. I have been on a journey of my own kind of self-exploration, self-discovery, and also trying to figure out what business is right for me and where I can best utilize sort of all my skills. And so Your Visibility Partner is fairly new, sort of switch up from what I was doing previously. It's because sometimes where you just feel like something's just not quite in alignment, something is not quite clicking. And so I have as I say, run various different businesses. I call myself an accidental business owner because I never really set out to do it. I never was like, you know how people talk about being a born entrepreneur. I was not that girl. I just sort of fell into it out of circumstance. And I think that happens a lot. I think a lot of people, either they get made redundant, they have kids and they can't really afford childcare to go back to work, or they just want a different lifestyle, a different setup. And happened to me that I was in a great job many, many years ago, but it was very, very stressful. And to cut a long story short, I kind of burnt out very early on in my career in that. And I just couldn't go back to it. And I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And so I kind of just sort of started dabbling in things and training in things and seeing what fitted. And so, tried out a few things on for size, and I've had massage therapy business, and I've run a children's toy and gift online store, and all sorts of things. But the thing that sort of kept coming up for me was coaching. And I kept kind of ignoring it because I thought, I'm not sure that's me. And the doubts kept niggling in, and I wasn't sure if it was the right fit for me. But what happened was essentially every time I met other business owners at networking events or at fairs, I was often giving people advice. I was talking about things that I'd done, showing them how I did it, or just helping people just build their own sort of self-confidence, I guess, in a way, without sort of realizing that was what I was doing. And so it sort of kept coming knocking, and I had a coach myself who talked about this idea of me maybe sort of being more of a leader figure, and I kind of recoiled a bit at the start and thought that's not me. But you know how they say kind of like the universe gives you little nudges, and if you ignore them, I think you get a bit of a whack over the head. And I think that's kind of what happened. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So I trained to be a coach, and I love it. And I started off mindset coaching in sort of more in general, and it wasn't quite clicking right because on the other side of things, I also do a bit of content creation. So I have clients who I create social media content for, and I also work as a UGC creator, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's user generated content. And so essentially brands pay me to create content for them, and then they post it on there. So I'm not being an influencer or anything like that. They give me a brief, I film it, send it back to them, they use it. And so I'm doing a lot of that and a lot of content creation, and then had the coaching on the other side. And I just kept thinking, like, there must be a way to bring these together somehow. And so that is really how Your Visibility Partner was formed, because I kind of thought everything falls together here because we need to show up online a lot more, and people are not doing it enough. I don't think a lot of us are holding back. We're not sharing enough of ourselves. I certainly wasn't sharing enough of myself. And we hide behind things. We hide behind pretty product images and graphics, Canva quotes, and all these sorts of things. And whilst there is a place for all of those things as well, we have to show up more because we need to connect with people. And in order to connect with people, they need to see us. And so, yeah, so I thought, well, what better way to coach people with is to help them build that confidence so they can show up for themselves, they can own their own story, but also, the kind of tools and the content creation skills as well that go alongside building that confidence. So, yeah, that's really how it came about.
I love that. I mean, I think so many people can relate to that whole accidental entrepreneur story. One of the episodes I did, episode 3, I went into my story, and it was very similar in that mine was because of the kids.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about showing up on social media, it's like my first idea was, well, I'll start a business because it works around the kids. And then you realize there's all these other things
Yeah.
when you have a business that you actually have to do. One
Hmm.
of them being social media. And obviously, there is this whole kind of mindset thing that we need to get past when it comes to showing ourselves, even if, just starting with a photo of ourselves, like just been having the confidence to put that out there first, like not even talking about going live,
Mm-hmm.
like putting a face to the brand.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that you discussed in the masterclass is being visible does depend on what you do for a business. And I think
100%.
one of the great things you said is obviously yourself as a visibility coach, you need to be very visible.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's so often the common misconception is that everyone thinks like, oh God, everyone's saying we've got to do this, I've got to go live and I've got to, you know, talk to camera every single day. And yeah, it depends on what you do. Because if you've got, let's say you're like a jewelry business or something, like your product, you want to sell your product. So if you're just going live every day chatting about stuff, yes, people will connect with you, but they're probably unlikely to buy your product. But if you can get a mix of both, where yes, you're showing your products to people and go, oh my God, that's beautiful. Like, I want to buy one. But then sometimes people don't buy because they don't know anything about you and your story. And so if you can also share that, then you will maybe convert some of those people who were interested but just didn't it didn't get them over the edge, and then it's like, oh, but now they connect with you because they resonate with something you've said or they relate to some part of your story. And they might be the people that then buy, or they might want to collaborate with you, or they might want to refer you to someone or recommend you to someone. So there's so much more things as well to think about, and it's not just about sales. Yes, of course, ultimately we need to make sales to have a business, but social media is what it says on the tin. It's social media, so it's about building those social connections. And we can use those connections in all sorts of ways. We can use them to build so we can collaborate with others. Or you can use them for things like this, where you asked me to come and be a guest expert in your membership. That doesn't happen unless we are visible on social media.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you said about how people buy from people.
Mm,
So even if you are a product-based business, yes, you don't need to, as you were saying, be maybe definitely not as visible as someone who is coaching visibility
yeah,
or just coaching in general or help or training or any of that kind of thing. But still, what's going to get you to buy this product over this product may be the story that's gone behind it. Even if, like you said, it's not you maybe talking to camera, it's you showing you making,
yeah,
even that, like of hands, and just seeing that there's a real person, and knowing, especially if you know something has been handmade and had that time taken onto it, be something that is now maybe more mass produced and hasn't got that personal story behind it. Like I love it when I buy something and I can tag that business in it and I can share
yeah.
it on my stories and then they share it on their, there's that whole lovely connection there of just knowing that you buying that product has made a difference to them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's really important to remember that. It's a really good point as well, in that there is a wonderful community. The small business community is incredibly supportive, and it's really lovely. And I think so often we are taught to think about, comparisonitis and imposter syndrome and all these things whereby we feel like we ought to be on social media and be jealous of what other people are doing, or feel, you know, inferior to what other people. And yes, there is an element of that, and we do feel that sometimes. But also there's this wonderful supportive community as well. And like you say, tagging each other, sharing each other, recommending each other. That's the upside of this like social media world. And the more visible we can get online, the more we can build that and that supportive community, which makes us feel less the inferiority, the imposter syndrome, and those things.
If someone is listening to this and they're thinking, oh my God, she's talked about like going live on social media and I just cannot do that. What would be your first steps to someone for them to build that confidence to do something like that? Like, what would you say to them? Like, how could they get started?
Well, firstly, I think I would say to them, do you need to go live? And I think that that is something that is very specific to certain types of businesses or certain types of people. There's some people who will just really struggle in that live environment. You know, if you haven't got everything written out beforehand and you can't sort of stop and start, so that is really difficult for some people. So you're going to need to build those skills, but ask yourself whether it's really important, because it's going to take work, right? And is it going to what's it going to bring for your business? Now, if you feel like, actually, do you know what? It's going to bring in a wider audience. So let's say you've got the opportunity to do a live video in collaboration with someone else. So you can do that where you basically share audiences. So like for you and I, for example, I'd say, right, do you want to do a joint live? And we'll do this conversation like we're having on this podcast, but we'll do it on a live Instagram video. So therefore, it goes out to your followers and to my followers. It's a really great way of sharing audiences, and it's a way for me to build followers because the people will come over from yours and vice versa. They'll come over from mine to yours. And so that's why it can be really beneficial to do things like that. So ask yourself how important it is going to be. And if you think, yeah, do you know what? I think this is something I need to do. This is something I should try and give a go. I hate to say the word should. This is something I want to give a go. So, what you want to do is you want to start off by practicing in a safer environment. So, the first thing you want to ideally do is to get more comfortable with seeing yourself on video and hearing yourself on video. So, you can do that really simply by just like jumping on a FaceTime call with someone that you trust, like a friend, a family member, so that you see yourself in that little screen in the box in the corner, don't you, when you're on that FaceTime call, and it just helps you to get used to talking and being on camera. Other things you can do is just if you're at home on your own, just, get your phone up and just press record and just start talking. Start, maybe introduce yourself, and then listen to it back, watch it back. It's going to be hard to watch it back at the start. You'll feel really cringy and uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the more your brain will get used to seeing and hearing it. So it won't feel so uncomfortable and awkward as you go forward. So that's what I would say is, if you feel like it's something that's going to help you, that's going to drive your business forward, it's going to grow your community, then by all means give it a go. But practice first, practice in some sort of safer environments. Even on Instagram itself, there's a live practice feature as well, where you can go as if you're going to go live, and then you press, I think it's like practice live, and then nobody else comes in the room, so no one else can see you. You can just practice, see what all the buttons do and all that sort of stuff in a safer environment. So I think about that. And then also I say to people, like, at the end of the day, you've just got to give it a go. And what's the worst that could happen? You could fluff your way through it. You might mess up some of the lines. You might and ah and stumble and stutter over your words, but who cares? Really, at the end of the day, it's done. You've done it. The next one's going to be better. If I went back and looked at my first live video that I did, it would be rubbish. I can tell you right now, it would be terrible. But I've got better. I've practiced my skills over time. And so your first one probably will be rubbish. So let's just do it. Just put it out there, see what happens, and move on to the next one. If it's really, really terrible and you really hate it, you can just delete it. There's nothing lasts forever.
No, exactly. There is always that delete button. And one of my favorite sayings, which you did mention in the masterclass as well, is done is better than perfect.
Mm,
So you'll never know if you can get better at something if you haven't done it once
100%.
the first time, and every time you do something, you get more confident. And one of the things that we discussed in the masterclass is I joined Tech Pixie's social media management course 4 years ago now, it will be in March. And before I joined the full course, there was a boot camp that Joy Foster, who runs it, does. And one of the things she asked us to do was in the private Facebook group to go live.
Mm.
And I remember it was something that obviously stopped a lot of people because a lot of them, this is their kind of first idea of doing anything like that. Obviously, there was the tech things to consider, like how do I actually do it? And she did do a whole masterclass on how to do it. But it was also what to say and then listening back to it, like you said, and being so cringy. And I remember saying to her, I cannot watch it back. I cannot hear myself because I hate the sound of my own voice. That's what I said to her. I was like, I can't watch it back. I don't know what I said, but I've done it. But I hate the sound of my own voice. I feel like I've got a slight bit of a lisp going on. I stuttered over my words. I don't know what to say. Now, that was 4 years ago. And now I'm obviously here hosting my own podcast. And the thing that has done that has made the difference with that is just practicing. I'm not a naturally confident person. That was again another thing we discussed in the masterclass is people say, oh, that person was born confident, so they're
Mm.
naturally at it. And I'm definitely not one of those people. Like through my teenage years, through my 20s, I've always been very quiet, one of the ones kind of on the side of the room until I warm up and kind of get to know where I am. And that's kind of what's happened with this is I've got to know my online audience, my online community. I felt more confident showing up in front of them. And then you get feedback. Oh, that thing you said was really helpful. And that kind of just boosts you a little bit that, oh, maybe what I am doing is okay. And sometimes if I just make mistakes, I just say, well, that didn't go right, did it? It's like just owning your mistakes because we're all human and they happen.
100%. And also, like, ultimately, what when we're showing up is because we want to build connections with people. We want people to connect with us and we want them to relate to us. And how better for people to connect and relate to us is if we're human and we're normal and we make mistakes like everybody else, you know? Yes, I'm the same as you. I've practiced my skills over many years and I'm a confident public speaker. I would say that now, but I wasn't. I built those skills up. But I'll still make mistakes. I still mess things up. I still say the wrong word. I still stumble over my words, but that just makes me human.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with a lot of things, it is a skill that you can learn.
Of
Like
course.
like with tech, like people think, oh, they need to be good at the tech just because they're a business owner. It's like they need to be confident when they speak because they need to tell people about their business. And they might not be. They might not be great at the tech to start with, but they can learn how to use the tools and things that are going to help their business. It's the same as you can learn and you can practice to be more confident and get more confident in saying about what it is that you do. Now, one of the things that you did mention in the masterclass as well is, well, you don't like to call it elevator pitch, do you? What did you I know that was one of the things that you said, but it was like honing in and practicing that one kind of sentence that sums up what it is and what you do so that you've got it in your back pocket for
Yeah.
when you meet people. So can you tell us a little bit more about what the importance of that is?
Yeah, I think well, there's two reasons behind why it's really important. One is because when that is the sometimes the only connection you get with someone. So let's say, for example, you're at a networking meeting and you get that moment where they say, right, we'll go around the room, everyone just introduce themselves, tell us what you do, what you're looking for. You've maybe got 30, 60 seconds or whatever. And that might be the only connection you actually get. If it's a large networking group and you don't get time to speak to everybody afterwards, some of those people, that's the only time they'll connect with you. So you want to leave something that makes them think, have a reason why they want to know you further. Like there's a reason why they might want to connect with you. Maybe they've got somebody that they can refer to you. Maybe that they might want to work with you. Maybe they want to collaborate with you. So you've got to be able to be really clear with what it is that you do and who you help. It's simple as that. It's really like who you are, what you do, and who you help. And so if you can just get better, just practice and practice and practice saying that so that when it comes to your turn, rather than you feeling like, oh, freeze, panic, stutter over the words, don't quite get it out, it doesn't quite land, If you're so comfortable doing it because you've practiced it 100 times, then therefore people are much more likely to pick up on something and go, oh, actually, she could help me with this. Or, I really would like to connect with her further. And so they'll come and talk to you, get your business card, find you on social media, whatever it is, in order to connect with you. So that's the first reason why it's so important. The second reason is the kind of like neuroscience behind it is that when we start running our own business, we have to shift our identity because we have to become a person who is a business owner, or we have to become an entrepreneur. We have to become, a coach, a jewelry designer, a cake baker, whatever it is that you do, you've got to become that identity and it's new. So our brain doesn't know what that means and why it's important. So what happens is we're developing new kind of neural pathways all the time, every time we do something or say something new. So when our brain hears us talking about who we are, what we do, it's like, oh, this is new, right? I'll log that for future reference. And then it hears it again and again and again and again. And it builds that pathway in your brain. So then your brain knows, aha, this is now our identity. This is what's important. And you can start acting from that identity. So we can't kind of act from that identity until we fully embody it. We can try and fake it, but we can't fully become that person until our brain has caught up that that's who we are. And the quickest way to get our brain to catch up is just by repeating it over and over and over.
No, that's brilliant. I love that. Yeah, just kind of getting our brains to catch up with where our body now is almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Lovely. So the full masterclass that Rachel did for us was called Be Seen, Be Heard, Be You. And it was all about self-belief, visibility, and confidence tips so that you can show up as authentically you. Because it's very important that we don't just show up how we think we should show up and copy other people, that we
Mm.
show up as our true selves. And you covered tips on becoming more confident and being seen, about how to be heard and share your story and the importance about that, and how to stand out as you. So if you do want to watch the whole of that masterclass, it is available as part of the This Mum Loves Tech membership. And I will drop the notes to that in the comments. And it's really interesting you talk about that kind of introductory line, because it's something that I do on the Q&A calls, because there's a lot of calls and memberships and things that I've been in before, and you get on this call with the other ladies that are there, and people maybe ask their questions if it's that kind of question environment where you're getting training, but then you don't actually know what it is that they do, like especially if there's no kind of obvious thing in, like if they've not got anything in their background, if they've not got anything in their name. So what I do with the Q&A calls within the This Man Last Tech membership is, as people ask their question, I get them to deliver that line. So
Nice.
one, it's practicing because it's a safe environment. We're in front of, there's not many people on the call, but it's also then if people are watching the replay, because a lot of people can't always make live calls,
Yeah.
they can then be like, oh yeah, that person does that thing. Like, because the question they might be asking, especially because obviously with the This Mum Loves Tech membership is to do with tech, it might not be immediately obvious from their question what it is they even do.
Yeah, 100%.
And you might be missing the opportunity to make that connection. Yeah, so again, I have to see it's really important that you have got that line, and like you said, practicing it so you get really comfortable. If someone says to you, even if it's like one of the mums in the playground, what is it that you
Yeah.
do? Instead of going, well, I kind of do this thing online where, I teach people stuff.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay,
And how often do we play it down as well? Like we so often play it down. We make ourselves smaller. We make it like, oh, it's just this, or well, I just sort of do a bit of that, and it's like, no, we need to own it. We need to get to a point where we can actually be really proud of what we do. Like if we had a job that we were super proud of, we wouldn't be like, oh, I'm just like work for Apple. Well, you'd be like, yeah, I work for Apple. I do this. Like I love it. So we need to get the same with our own businesses.
yeah, the confidence that this is what we do and this is who I am.
Yeah.
um yeah, I love that. So how can people like find out more about you and what you do?
Fabulous. Well, I love connecting with people on social media, of course. I am on all the platforms. I'm probably most online. I'm probably most present on Instagram. So you can find me at Your Visability Partner on Instagram and on Facebook. I also have TikTok as well. I'm at Your_Visibility Partner. And so that's really the best way is people just come and follow me and you'll kind of see I always share different tips and thoughts and ideas all about confidence and visibility and self-belief. I also share sort of confident content tips as well. So, if you're struggling with things to put out there, I often give you tips and ideas of different content that you can create because sometimes we overthink our content creation so much. And if we can just sort of strip it back to kind of look, you're just trying to build those connections with people. And what do people want to know? And inherently, everybody's nosy, right? So they just want to know about you. They want to know what's going on in your life. They want to know what you have for breakfast. We all love this kind of stuff. We love to get behind the scenes and just find out more about people. So it's really strip back all the like, oh, we must do 10 carousels and 3 reels and trending audios. And it's like, yeah, there's a place for that. But like the best place to start is just by being you and just building those connections and getting out there. So yeah, come follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and yeah, I'd love to connect with people.
Brilliant. And in terms of ways to work with you, is there any particular kind of thing that really goes with building the confidence with social media that you could tell us about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do work with people on a one-to-one basis. If there's something specific you really want to work with, then come drop me a DM and we can chat. Always offer a free discovery call where we can just have a chat over Zoom, see what's going on for you. I can tell you what I think might help, what we could maybe work on together, and we can sort of come up with a sort of one-to-one package for you. But other than that, I have got a brand new 4-week small group coaching experience that is launching very, very soon. I'm so excited about it. And it's called Let's Get Visible. Build confidence, own your story, and show up with ease. It's going to be launching hopefully in April, and I've just actually created a wait list for it. So for people that want to know more and want to be sort of first people in, as I say, it's going to be a really small group because I want to have a real high touch with people and be able to help people on a one-to-one basis as well as within a small supportive group. So if you want to jump on that, then we can drop the link. You can get on the wait list, and there's also going to be a special bonus for anyone who's on the wait list. But essentially, it's going to be a 4-week confidence and visibility coaching experience. It's for female business owners who are ready to show up and grow your business without fear and doubt holding you back. It's like you have value to share and you want to show up more, but something keeps holding you back. And often it could be fear of judgment or second guessing yourself or not knowing how to talk about your business in a way that feels natural. And often, we see others showing up effortlessly, and every time we try, the doubt creeps in and we hold ourselves back again. And this lack of confidence and doubt and fear is stopping us from building online connections that, as I said before, can lead to collaborations, can build trust, can lead to us becoming, an expert in our field, and obviously more sales as well. And so this 4 weeks is going to really just work through our self-belief, our confidence skills, how to find our own voice and own your own story so that you can share things from a place of authenticity and from just being unapologetically you, and sharing what it is that you're here to say, what you want to be known for, and what you want people to say, oh yeah, Rachel does this, and what you want people to know. And the ability to kind of show up consistently, comfortably, whether it's either on camera, in person events, or just in general conversations, just building that confidence to show up in your own power. So yeah, very, very excited about this. And yeah, people can jump on the wait list for that one.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'll be putting the link to join that waitlist in the show notes of this episode. So, yes, sounds very exciting and a great way to build that confidence to show up on social media. So, before we go, I would love to know, like, maybe one or two of your top tips for confidence building, or strategies or something that we could leave people with that they could then go on to use maybe after listening or watching this episode.
Sure. So I will give you my absolute favorite tip for building confidence that I share with everybody and anybody that I can, because it's my mission to get this more out there. Is I would love for everybody to keep their own, what I call a brag book. And essentially, this is a place for you to just collate any nice things that you think about yourself or people have said about you or you've heard. So this is a place where you put your any nice reviews, any testimonials, any texts you've had from a friend when you've helped them and they're thanking you for helping them, or some comment that somebody says. You know, you're in those Facebook groups and somebody says, "Oh, can anybody recommend a blah blah blah?" And somebody says, "Oh yeah, I can recommend Nicola. She's great at X Y Z." You know, copy, paste, whack that in your brag book, get all those things in there, even things that you think about yourself. Actually, do you know what? I'm pretty damn good at X, Y, and Z. There are some things, you know, we can all focus on the things that we're not good at. We can all focus on our negatives. But if we really think about it, there's loads of things that we know we're good at. And so get those in the brag book, remind yourself so that every time we're feeling that doubt, we're feeling, you know, we've got to do something, but we're just not sure and we're not sure if we're good at it anymore and all these things, we can go, hang on, go back to your brag book, read through, and it's just that reminder of like, you know what, actually, I can do this. I do help people. People do like what I'm doing. You know, I've got this. And it's just a really great reminder.
Oh, I love that. We definitely all need to have a brag book. Yeah, so thank you once again, Rachel, for joining me today. It's lovely having you as a guest on the This Mum Loves Tech podcast, and also having you to come and do the masterclass inside the membership. I know the ladies that were joining live got lots out of it. So if you do, like I said, want to see the full masterclass, come and join the membership. The links are in the show notes. And if you want to connect with Rachel, she's at Your Visability Partner on Instagram. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode and look forward to seeing you on another edition of This Mum Loves Tech.